Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
All right, today's question comes from Meredith in Virginia. Meredith writes, my husband and I started following your baby steps this year. Now that we are budgeting, it's clear that a lot of our money is going towards my husband's alcohol purchases. He enjoys collecting bourbon and spends $75 a week on his hobby. Okay, you're not following the baby steps. We really need that money to get out of debt. I'm embarrassed and frustrated that he is spending our hard-earned money on this unnecessarily. He's defensive and says he doesn't spend money on anything else, so I shouldn't complain. I don't know how to get through to him.
Whew. Okay. Well, when you are working your get-out-of-debt plan, you put your hobbies on hold. That might include your $75 a week for nails and facials and hair care and eating out and him buying a bottle of bourbon. But I have a bourbon collection. I can afford it, though, and I'm not in debt. And
do you have a collection or do you have a museum?
Well, yeah. And the this is not about me, John. But the deal is this. So I'm not against the idea. I do read in this language, Meredith, that you have a problem with this that's beyond money.
Absolutely.
The language you're using.
Yes. And it's a very generous we. We are following your baby steps. We are budget. We're not. We are not. And I think you want this relationship to be something that your husband does not care it to be. And that's underneath all this mess, and y'all need to sit down and have that conversation.
Yeah, and I kind of think she doesn't want him to have the bourbon, too. I think there's something going on there, and that's okay, too. That's a fair discussion to have if, you know, like your dad was an alcoholic and I don't want bourbon in my house. That's something, that's nothing unfair to have that discussion. But we don't have to use the baby steps as a weapon to have that discussion. Mm-hmm. That's a different discussion.
Right.
So discussion number one is, you know, I got a problem with bourbon, or I got a problem with you collecting bourbon, or I've got a problem with that much alcohol in our house. I don't get it. I don't understand. That's fine. That's discussion number one. Discussion number two is putting your hobby, whatever it is, on pause, which we're 100% down with. And some of the most manly things I've seen men do in the early days of teaching Financial Peace University. I had one old guy's serious country boy, and he had a huge, fabulous, oh God, my mouth waters thinking about it, collection. He had these custom knives from all over the world. I mean, this was a knife collection. He took his knife collection, and I can still see he was a great big old guy, and his little wife was like 5'1", tiny little thing, and I can see her crying in happy tears of what her husband had sold this knife collection for $23,000.
Whoa.
It was a lot. I mean, it was a very nice, and this is like this guy selling one of his kids as far as he was concerned. But he put, what that said was to her is, I put you and our future and the future of our kids ahead of me, my wants, my hobby. Mm. I've seen guys do that with their gun collection. And let me tell you, Redneck Sells Our Guns, it's a big deal. Okay? That's a big deal. And that's what this is for this guy.
Right.
Here, probably. Because guys that get, and I'm buy and sell and fool around in that world a little bit, and guys that get into this, it's not because they're an alcoholic, it's just they enjoy the process of collecting and tasting and whatever with bourbon. There's nothing evil about that, in my mind anyway. But what you don't want to do is put this in front of the good of your family, and that's how she's couching this. I'm suspicious with the wording she's using and the spaces between the words. I'm seeing things there. But either way, he should stop.
Yeah.
Until we get on the same page on this. And so my wife has a fairly generous purse collection that is somewhat one for one with my gun collection.
Is it retribution?
It's like it's like a one-off. You know, you get one, I get one, but I don't care. It's fine. We got the money. That's right. It's a non-issue. It's something we do for fun. These people are trying to get out of debt, trying to get their head above water. You don't do this stuff when you're in that. So he needs to stop this. To her point, but I also think she needs to figure out what's really bothering her here.
And Dave, it's a thing that sets me off a little bit. when either spouse sits down and says, hey, this thing is a big deal to me, and they are shut down by the other spouse with, hey, you shouldn't complain. I don't like that language, Dave. It pisses me off. If you feel in your heart that, hey, my spouse is complaining about something they shouldn't complain about, y'all need to go see a counselor. But either you have a whiny, complainy, bratty spouse, and y'all need to go talk to a professional about that, or you're acting like a baby, and your response is to say, you shouldn't complain. It's like, I'm going to take my ball and go home. Your marriage is on thin ice if you start running around like that. So I go talk to somebody who can help mediate that, because you guys got a mess. But you're right, Dave. There's something underneath here. Either he's struggling with alcohol, she don't want this nonsense in her house, or this hobby, if you will, is a proxy for she is trying to drag this marriage, kicking and screaming into something that he could care less. He's going to sit on the couch, play his video games, and collect his thing, and she don't need to complain about it because he earns the money around here. And I just hate that attitude.
Here's the thing, though, folks, in general, okay? $75 a week for anything, give it a name, that's not necessary for the operation of the family. That's only $300 a month. Does that really keep you from getting out of debt and becoming successful? No, it does not mathematically. What it does is it signals everyone in your universe, your wife, your kids, your boss, that you're not serious.
Right.
But when you say everything stops, all the altars I am worshiping at, all the things that I claim are important are not as important as the future of our family. We are getting out of debt. We're going to build some wealth. We're going to have an emergency fund cushion come hell or high water. You can't do, I get my massage every week. You can't, my chiropractor visit. Okay, shut up. Okay. We've had people cut their own hair, which is not an issue for me, but,
you were so serious, yours just fell out.
There you go,
That's how
man.
serious you got about
That's
getting out of debt.
I just took care of it.
That's right. You held your nose real hard and blew, and it fell out.
That was that's gross.
That was pretty rough. Sorry.
That's bad.
You do some of my paychecks. I apologize.
So, but I mean, yeah, you put
You do whatever it takes, man.
these little, because they're representative of where your heart is.
Yeah.
Where your heart is, your treasure is also.
And it can be flipped, right? So someone can sit across the table and say, dude, this is $300, relax. And somebody across the table says, oh, our family's not even worth $300, right?
Yeah.
It can just, it's a yin yang. It just keeps going in a circle. Just stop.
But it's a signal. It's a signal flare that says I'm not in.
I'm not in.
I'm not going to go all in. I'm not going to leave it all on the field. And you don't send that signal into heaven, and you don't send that signal into your relationships and into your career and get anything positive back.
You don't hire people who, like, hey,
when
you know
you send a signal that says I'm all in, and nothing's going to stop me, you know what? Nothing stops you.
That's right.
And it's not the $300; it's the signal. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. And so, and this is raising up something else that's going on here too.
Yeah, I wish you the best, Meredith. But I think it's time to sit down, like Dave was saying, and have the true, real conversation that needs to be had here. And if it can't be had, then it's time to go get a marriage counselor.
Yeah, definitely. Create your free every dollar budget today, the simplest way to budget for your life.